Yeah. Yeah, well, you were supposed to wake me up early. Look at this guy. He's got one job to do.
That was his wake-up call right after it
Just
started?
now. This was Butt Dog's wake-up call. It's very specific that I needed a wake-up call, and I'm very tired. Hey, guys, how y'all doing? What's going on? Jeremy, Alvin, Haladala, Ellie, what's going on in the hood? How's everybody doing? I figure we just start the chat room a little bit early. I don't know how often we're going to do it, as you guys know. I like to show up like 10 minutes before the bell. But we were thinking, since, you know, everybody's trading inside ClickFund and stuff like that, just getting you all ready for the day is going to be a lot better than me just throwing out heat in the chat room and nobody knows what the heck is going on. And so we're going to start this thing. For my preparation, usually when I start the marketing, I like to get the computer about half an hour before the bell. So we're going to play around with the times a little bit because, as you guys know, we like to play a lot of the stocks that are moving, that have earnings and PRs and things like that. And so, you know, I need a good 30 minutes to kind of research them all and get everything ready. You know, usually around 8:30, you're not going to get necessarily all the movement that you want. Yeah, can you hold on one second? I got to turn the fan on here. Hold on. I think somebody turned the AC off. The housekeeper did. Is that hot?
Well, it will be.
Hey guys, it's Mary Beth too. I'm gonna be on here with Tom as well.
Turn that light. I can get the fan going. No light. All right. So a couple things that usually prepare for your day. There's two things that you guys usually want to do. Number one is, you know, you want to get a good gauge of where the market's at and what the market is doing. And so, you know, right now we've broken out of highs. And so, you know, the market's been in a consolidation for, let's see here. Hold on. Let me get a little screen share going. Dun, 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 dun. The market had been consolidating for almost a month, and so now it's come out of that zone. And so, you know, we're basically up in there. Dun, 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 dun. Willie, tell me when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
All right. Why the fuck is this thing just? You see it? Yeah. Why is it doing that? So when you're looking at the market, you know, I don't analyze as day traders. We don't need to analyze the market as fine-tunedly as you would, like, say, if you're a swing trader and you're holding a lot of overnight risk. You know, as a day trader, there's a handful of things that you need to know. One of them is, you know, what's the direction of the market? You know, are we, you know, in a run-up type of phase, a rundown phase? Are we consolidating in some type of distribution or accumulation type of environment? And that guides me on how aggressive I want to be to the long and short side, but also my sizing. So if you're looking at the market, you know, typically when we are in these type of consolidation zones, you know, where you see a consolidation like this, I will slow down my sizing a little bit, as, you know, we don't have any directional thrust in the markets, and so you tend to get more choppy action in the stocks that you're trading. Now, same thing happens in, you know, March, April, and May. If you're going to the long side, you've got to be aware that you don't have the wind at your back, essentially. And so that changes my position sizing and also the type of plays that I'm doing. So like right now, you know, with the market kind of making a thrust, you know, obviously there's going to be stocks breaking out all over the place. And so, you know, a couple things you want to do is find themes. You know, what are the hot sectors or hot stocks that are moving? Like yesterday, China stocks were really, really hot. So I noticed that they were all of them, like, you know, Liju, and so many of these stocks are breaking out. So that's a theme. So you want to flip through as many China stocks as you can and look for, longs in these bad boys. You can be aggressive with your sizing as the market's up in air. So we're entering potentially a run-up phase as we've come out of a consolidation. So these are all the things that are in the back of my mind as I'm preparing my account and my day so that I know what to play. So that's going to be really, really important. So a few different things you can do. So like say you want to play China plays or something. I've got a list of them that, I can play at any given moment that are China plays. And so I'll flip through these, and I keep a list of them. So you don't have to have a list of 187 because most of these are going to be dumpers. But what you want to do is keep a handful of them that you like, and so I've got a secondary list of China plays that that I can call on at any given moment. I can call on at any given moment. So then you start sifting through them. So, there's stocks like SFUD, CMCM, right? We play all of these bad boys. And so I want to sift through these and look for it. So like something like this, it hasn't gone yet, CMCM. So this is a stock that, kind of bottomed out and, it made a first run in its 20-day moving average, pulled back, is making a secondary run. That's probably the type of stock that I'd like to play, and so that would be something that I'm flagging and putting on my list. What was the other one? Yesterday we were playing this thing, Liju. So this is a China holding. This is what we'd call an IPO breakout, and it was a China stock. So, a stock like this, that's breaking out to new highs. This is all-time highs for this stock. When you get that along with some sector momentum, now you've got something that's got some real play in it. Now, this stock didn't hold up that well. It ran to 1480, 1450, and then it didn't hold up well. And that could have been for numerous reasons. But looking back, like we were in this stock. Looking back, one of the things that I notice about stocks is, when you get a big candle like this at the open, it becomes very, very tricky. The rest of the day tends to be in a range, and it tends to be in a range because this candle is so darn big. And when you fade off that first candle like that, you see that it ran to like 14, and then it was back the very next candle, 2 candles later, back at 1225. Typically, when you have something like that, it becomes very, very choppy. I've noticed that throughout a lot of the stocks that we play. So you got to be a little bit careful and realize that most likely you're going to play inside the range. So you don't want to buy anything up too high and make sure that you get them near supports and things like that when you're day trading this bad boy. Our first ad in this was, like at 1280s or so. We waited till it pulled back, and it had a nice ramp. My mistake was, adding more shares here at 1360. But you can see here that had already come up way too high to really break out. There was no sense of consolidation. I had my giddy factor going on in terms of I thought this thing was just going to rip. And then looking back, every day when you review your trades, that's one of the kind of themes that I noticed is that, this wasn't a PR stock or anything like that. So, most likely this thing just popped because a bunch of people were just riding in this bad boy right at the open. I had no volume in it. So that makes the action a little bit more choppy. Let's see, what else do we like for tomorrow?
There's a bunch of gappers so far.
Another one that was actually, Z-Man was talking about it was this Dara. So this type of setup is what we call a base breakout. This has been working really well in the market the last couple months, I would say. If you think about all like the big runners, the USUs and DRLs and those stocks that really ran up 50%, 100% over the span of a few days, they were usually coming off these bottoms, and so there's a few different things. When you get a stock that's on a bottom that's coming out of range, if there's enough volume in it and the float's low enough, you tend to get these, monster ramps. And so this is probably something that is definitely going to be in play for us, and we should keep an eye on it today, as long as it can kind of hold. What's popping on the earnings side, Willie?
There's a lot of good stuff, it looks like. This LOGI, OMVO, VDSI. There's a lot of good stuff.
Hold on one second.
The OMVO, one of the things that I look for, guys, is so I'll pull up, like I use trade ideas, and so I have like a pre-market list that I can look for to see what's popping pre-market on trade ideas. And what I do is I go through the list each morning, and I look through the daily charts first to see where the stock's, like around where the stock's going to be opening, just to look at the daily chart and see, okay, is it opening, is it gapping up to new highs, or is it, gapping up a major resistance level? Because usually that's important, and those can be the gappers that run that day, because if they don't have resistance overhead. So something like what I just noticed about OMVO is it's gapping up. I believe it's news, not earnings, but pre-market it stopped right at 9.3, and on the daily chart, OMVO has a gap to fill at 9.3. So it's stuff like that that I like to notice. And also, yeah, same for let's see, JDST. Let's see where it's gapping to. JDST. So it's been on a bottom and it's gapping up. It looks like it's gapping up to around 1130. So about $1 gap on it. So it could be in play today.
Now that's a gold ETF, I believe.
Yeah.
I hate gold.
VDSI was another one.
Dun, 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 dun. VDSI?
Yep. VDSI. It's gapping up to like 13.5. So it would be highs.
So that's a good move. See, that's a clean move, guys. When you got a stock that's breaking out to new highs, right? So you've got a stock that's obviously got some type of news. So here you can see, pre-market, it's really making a run. You can move the 1-minute chart usually in pre-market, as it won't be as much action. And so I'll check. I have the news built into my TC2000 here, so I can just see. I prefer the ones that are like earnings type news. PRs are a little bit harder to read. No, Tim, leave us alone. Sorry, Willie. Distracted me. So this is Vasco raises guidance, revenue above estimates. So that's the type of stuff that I like to see. Earnings beats, right? So the way this works is it's a surprise. It guides above estimates, right? Everybody estimated something, and you've got a beat. So there's a surprise in here. Now, because there's a surprise, everybody's got to rejigger exactly what they think about the stock, where they think it can go, what its potential is, and that's what causes those monster runs at the open. The open becomes when you have a stock with a good chart that raises guidance, beats estimates, comes with an earnings surprise. Now what happens is it's about price discovery. People got to figure out what it all means and where it can all go. And that's where you get those big emotional spikes at the open in a lot of these earnings stocks. And so this stock has a clean chart. The float is about 30 million. If there's a good volume in it, then that could be potentially a play. And on the other side of things, sometimes these things get too crazy, and we'll take them back down. We'll take them back down and we'll short them.
Another one that just started popping is RCL.
RCL. So Royal Caribbean raises guidance. Dun, 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 dun. So this is stock that's also busting out the new highs here. So it looks like its 52-week highs are about 54, 57.46. So you're already starting to, to bust loose, pre-market. The float on 165 minutes, it's a fairly low float. Hey, Chris, you want to say hi?
Good morning.
We got one of our students, Mr. Wooten, over here. So that's another one that you'd probably want to flag for your list today. Dun, 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 dun. Add RCO to watch list. Yeah, what was the one we talked about before this? Oh, yeah,
BDSI, yep. OMVO is not bad too. It's holding up pre-market, it looks like.
Stock is such a turd to trade. Have we ever made money in this thing? So this one is a little bit more tricky. Right now, ONVO, see the chart's kind of a hot mess. And so really till it clears this next high, and it looks like it's gapping right around that, that'll make it a little bit more cleaner in terms of the action. If the gap ran in and it was at, like, say, 850 or 825, you would be right in the middle of a chop zone, and it would act a lot more choppy unless the PR was just really good. You wouldn't get the type of clean move that you would with the stock that's coming off a base or that's breaking out. So a lot of times when you're choosing what type of stocks to play, you got to think about where the levels of supply and demand come into these bad boys, and make sure that make sure that you're playing the cleanest ones. Now this is earnings season, so you have the potential to play really dozens of stocks, and that can be mentally very confusing. There's a thing of just information overload. Mary Beth used to have this all the time when she was new. There's this level of like a paralysis by analysis that goes on, where you have so many stocks that are moving, especially during earnings season, and you've got this new bag of tricks and toys, and you can make some money. All of a sudden what happens is you lose money because you have so many things going on and you're watching so many darn things that you don't know what to play, and so you freeze. You freeze because you're watching so many stocks and they're all moving. So now that you froze, you'll see all these stocks move, and the next thing happens is you're not in one. So all of a sudden you've got to be one, so you chase something. And that starts this never-ending spiral, because obviously if you chase something, you're probably going to lose on it. So now you got to make your money back, and so you're looking for your next one, and you're just chasing, and you're just throwing out hits, trying to get lucky essentially, because you weren't properly prepared. So your first trade was a dud, and that starts the never-ending cycle of just junk. And that happens even to me. A lot of times when my first couple trades are duds in the morning, mentally, it's hard to come back from that, because now you have your P&L in your mind. You're like, oh man, if I lose two more, I'm probably gonna hit my max loss for the day, and I won't be able to do anything or whatever. Everybody goes through it, but almost always when I lose on my first couple trades of the day, it's because I chased the stock at the open and I wasn't properly prepared. And you'll see it. You'll see us in the chat room. Every blue moon, I usually start off the morning hot, and I tend to tailor off more towards the afternoon as I just get tired. But if I do happen to lose in the morning, it's because I wasn't properly prepared. Jaden, my man, happy birthday! It's Jaden's birthday, Willie.
Oh, cool.
Jaden, he's one of our students, but he's Tim's cousin.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a bromance going. I see their pictures on Facebook all the time.
Hey, Jaden, I see a woman in your avatar. Well, I know that you don't have a girlfriend, so if you don't mind explaining what's going on with that picture, that would be really nice. And if that's your ex-girlfriend, then you might want to cross her face off.
Hey, check out the CMCM as a chart. That looks really good on the daily.
Yeah, this is the one I've been watching stalking this one.
Yep.
What I'm gonna do, Wooten's over here. He's my good luck charm. So how it usually works is I ask Wooten, "What do you think about a stock?" And he says, "It looks all right." And I say, "Should we buy it?" And he says, "No, I don't know." So then I buy it and I make a lot of money, and then he gets depressed the rest of the day. That's kind of been our mojo here every day.
So he's the opposite of me because every time you ask me, I say yes, you should buy it.
Mary Beth never says
No.
no in anything. That was creepy. Oh, that was not fun. I know. So, guys, a second thing that usually happens is to be aware of when you are running your scans during the season. You're going to see these type of stocks like UIS. They big candle like this. So these type of stocks can be really good for continuation plays. So like a stock like this, my dad actually works at this piece of crap company, but a stock like this that had such a monster day, if you see a really light open, you know, it could be in play for a green to red or some type of continuation from the previous day. You know, I always bring up the chart and look for like key levels. You know, if it gaps up into that level, you might get a fade right back to lows. So these type of moves, they're so exaggerated. There's so much selling in them. They can be in play for a couple days, especially when you got, you know, this type of volume expansion and this type of move to a stock that's really breaking down the levels it hasn't been at since, right, 2013. Damn, Candy, I got smoked out yesterday, huh? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, there was an SA article out about it, so you got smoked out yesterday, but it looks like it's rebounding a little bit pre-market.
Okay. So, guys, those Seeking Alpha articles, they can be really tricky. Sometimes the hit piece comes out and, you know, nothing happens, but there's certain people on there that can write the hit pieces that really, I mean, they're good. And once they're out, I mean, you see this, it starts to flood. You see, when you get a stock that's this extended, you go from 14 to highs, and you're at resistance, you know, everybody's looking for an excuse to sell anyways, and so it can be anything that triggers it, and you know, you'll see a big dump. Now, on the other side of things, you know, if we dump another day, we'll start getting back to some support levels, and there could be, you know, potentially a nice buy entry on this. I like this one actually. We'll be putting that in play. Anything else popping you see it, Willie?
There's a lot of stuff actually. Let's see. UA, there, Under Armour.
So actually, this one looks pretty good. Only one thing with UA, retail stocks for me are like the devil.
Yeah, I hate them too.
So retail stocks in general, and UA is, I guess, a little bit different because it's been a really nice mover for a couple years. But retail stocks in general are really the crappiest to trade. Retail stocks in these like REITs, I never see any action in these REITs. You know, you can have like the nicest chart in a REIT, and it just grinds. They're like good for swings because you don't have to really manage them, but they stink to trade. And you can see like when your intraday charts look like this, see these kind of blocky type of candles, it means there's really just no action going on them. All right, cool. So we'll add UA to the list. Maybe we'll make an exception today.
Yeah, it's not bad. We can watch it. Then, of course, you have Facebook.
Dun, 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 dun.
Facebook's gapping up on earnings.
Oh, damn, this bad boy went all the way to 78, huh?
Yep.
So that's a stock that's moving to all-time highs. Facebook trades really thick. You know, the float on this thing is gigantic. So you got to be careful. Like, you don't want to be chasing breakouts in this thing. You know, when you're intraday, you know, I typically on a high float stock, I like to get in early and kind of sell into the pushes. when you have a stock that's got a super high floater, it's just super thick, the breakouts don't tend to be, they're not as explosive. They move over time, kind of in a more, I guess, linear manner, where you don't get like in those low float stocks, you get those like huge 10% candles type of moves. You won't get that in a thick stock. So you got to kind of change the parameters of how you trade the stock. It doesn't make it untradeable at all. It's very tradable. It just, you got to change your tactics. All stocks have their own story, and each type of stock has particular tactics that you need to trade when you're playing them.
We have a request for you to look at JMEI.
I do like this one. It's not bad. It looks kind of like Leju the other day. Is this a Chinese stock, Willie?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm always a fan of China Ding Dongs. This is how we made our money in the beginning. In the end, lost a lot of money. Remember that? What was that, CCME when I first met you, Willie?
Yeah, CCME. Yep.
I don't think it's around anymore, but
yeah, it's not.
So JME, this one looks okay. Well, if you're swing trading this thing, you want to get it kind of, we've got a range right here essentially. Hold on. So you've got a range right here from 29, 42. You got 25, and then these are kind of your levels. So if you're swing trading it, kind of getting it closer to the bottom of the range will give you a higher reward to risk ratio, and then you're essentially just anticipating the breakout because the market's in a bullish thrust. And if it doesn't break out, then you're going to get stopped out at whatever the last low is, or if you want to be really loose, down here. If you're day trading, then you could take all the different setups, and it looks like it's kind of getting close to breakout territory, anyways. Good find, not bad.
That's all I see.
Boom, 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 boom. Where's that little turd? What's that turd that my boredom traded yesterday? It's PCB. What was it? PBYI?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the stock stuck all day. Usually, anytime you see a stock up this much, it doesn't mean that a stock won't stay up this much, but at some point you do get a quick fade, 10%, 20%. The stock's up a lot. To lose 20, 30 bucks in a hot flash is not out of the question. And the stock just held. I was pretty surprised. I mean, it's rare. I mean, you can see it. That's the thing. If you short too aggressively or something like that, anticipating something like that, you can really get torched because stocks never moved exactly the way you want them to. That's why when we were trading this yesterday, I was trading 100 shares at a time. Which I like to kind of go in and take some meat on it, and 100 shares was all you were going to get out of me on this thing.
It's a good thing because it popped $10 in one candle.
Yeah. Well, where I screwed up was, number one, in the stock, like all these dips to support, all these dips here, MAs were getting bought. See that? And there's definitely some buyers coming in at the 20, 30. So I shorted it too low. I shorted like when this candle's kind of breaking down over here. And people were scooping it up right away. And every time it tested 230, they just kept scooping it up. I should have taken it as a hint, like, hey, they're going to try to, pop this bad boy. But I was being stubborn. Me and Z-Man, we were like, I was like, dude, maybe we should short this thing on the pops and then cover into lows. He's like, I know, but we're in too deep now. We already shorted it low. And so we just sat there like idiots. Like every time, it did it every single candle. it'd pop up to 234 and then come back to 230. You know, I could have just sat there flipping around that for, you know, a couple bucks every time. Instead, I got angry.
So someone was asking a free place to go, I think, to look for the gappers, and I posted it in the chat. But there's one called thestockmarketwatch.com, and you can look at their pre-market list, and it's free, and kind of see the gappers that way.
It's not as good as the one on Trade Ideas because you can't add any filters, but it gets the job done. You know, you'll see everything in one page.
Yeah, I like the one on Trade Ideas because you don't have to like refresh and everything. It refreshes for you as they're popping. So.
Vaso, my man. NXPI. This looks like a 30 stock to trade. Right?
That one looks tough.
Yeah, this type of stock, Vaso, see the action on this bad boy? You know, a stock like this just, it tells me it's going to give me gas when I trade it. Like there's going to be all sorts of shenanigans. You got to look, when you're looking at your stocks, right, look at the nature of the stocks, like how they move. So the past behavior is going to give you a good idea of its future behavior. So if a stock is ugly or it moves weird or looks weird, that means it's going to give you heartburn when you're in it. You know, if you see a stock and you're looking at its past and it moves clean and it moves crisp and it has explosive moves that follow through and the stock trends and things of that nature, then that's a stock that when you buy it and you have the setup, you can reasonably, you know, add probabilities and manage your risk, and you're not going to get all that heartburn. So I think that's really, really important. You know, as traders, you guys have a duty to be in the best stocks, you know, in the best stocks. You know, every day, every week, every month, you should be going through and seeing what were the hottest moving stocks of this month or this week or just yesterday, and why wasn't I in them? You know, if you weren't in that stock and you didn't take a stab at making a play in it, then you didn't do your job for the day. You know, you have a job, which number one is always manage your risk, but number two is you have to be in the best stocks. You know, I was just thinking about going through yesterday. It's like I was looking at this UIS, and it's like, damn, why weren't we in this sucker? You know, I screwed up. You know, we had an opening range breakdown right here. We had a flat bottom breakdown at 21. I mean, there was just setup after setup that we could have taken in this bad boy. And I messed up. You know, we weren't in it. And so that's, you know, that's always something to keep an eye on. So every day, you know, when you're going through your movers and your scans, why wasn't I in this thing? What did I do? What could I have done? And you know what? If you get most of them, then you did a good job. Probably NQ is probably something we should have been in. DRL we were in. You know, and you can only play so many stocks, but that's something always to look at. That's how you can tell if, you know, you're at least looking at the right stocks. You know, I get that question a lot from the students is, well, how do I know that, you know, I'm in the right stocks? Or how do I know what stocks, you know, are my scans working? And it's, well, you know, because they were up a lot. And then you know you were in the right stocks. So I think that's it, Willie. You got anything you got anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, all right. So, guys, that is it. We'll try to do this a little bit more often. As you know, we got boot camp class starting
Sunday.
Starting Sunday, so my schedule gets a little bit more crazy. But you know, email Mary Beth. You know, if you need any info on class, and we'll try to do this a little bit more often. And Dave, you're right. TC free stock chart stinks with the scans. I mean, that's why it's free. TC2000 is a little bit expensive, but you know, there's also Stock Fetcher, stock charts. You know, there's all sorts of them that you can use to get your basic scanning done and charting but you need a good charting and scanning platform.
And hey, and guys, give us some feedback. So like if you like doing this, I think the plan moving forward, like what we're moving towards is going to try to do this every morning for the ClickFunnels Bootcamp students. So if that's something you'd be interested in, just let us know, just so that we like to see feedback from people, so that we
yeah,
know
that's true. So any ideas you guys have or suggestions on how to make it better or change, then tell us and we'll add it.
All right.
And Dave, yeah, if you want the layouts to my TC2000, I can send those to you. All right, folks, that's a wrap. I'll see you guys later. See you in the chat room in 5 minutes.
See ya.
All right, peace.